Alright, in this video we're going to style this classic Christmas tree into a bonsai.
This is what the tree looked like before it was styled. After pruning, wiring and repotting, this was the result.
The tree is an Abies or a Northern fir. It was actually my Christmas tree this last December. It's early spring right now. So what I did is I had it in my house for a few weeks, which of course isn't very good for a tree. But then I placed it outdoors and took care of it. Now, chances are that the roots are hardly developed at all. These trees are grown in the ground and right before Christmas they're dug out, put in a pot and sold off. So chances are that there's no proper root ball here. But let's see about that. So like I said, it's early spring right now. So we could style the tree and work on the roots, but since I know for sure that the roots won't be very healthy, I can't really style this tree right now. If we could do that just for a nice YouTube video, but the tree would die without any doubt. So the only thing we can do for the sake of the health of the tree is to check its roots, and if it's good enough, place it in a better soil. And at the same time already reduce the tree a little bit so that it doesn't have to sustain the full tree but only a part of it. So I'm going to cut off around here, maybe prune a few of these branches as well and use better soil. And then in a year or so, and if the roots develop and the tree is much stronger than it is right now, then from these branches we can style a bonsai. So let's do that. So the first step is to remove about this much of the tree, so I'm going to use the saw to do that. All right, top of the tree gone. And I'll remove a few more of these branches. All right, that's all for now. So the future height of this tree will be up until here. So this will also be reduced in size and probably be made as a gin. And with some of these branches we can build a new tree. So even these branches probably they will come off, but I'll leave them for now. So the next step is to take this out of the pot and investigate the roots. So this is an exciting moment because I really have no idea what we're going to see there. So I'm not sure if you can see well, but for sure this tree has been grown in the ground just to grow it up quite quickly. But it seems that at some point it has been placed in a pot and kept for a bit more time, because I do see some roots circling around. It seems that the roots are in okay condition, it's not great, but I think the tree has a good chance of survival, and then it will need, like I said, at least a year before it's healthy enough to be styled as a bonsai. So for now I'll just continue to work on the roots and then we'll place it into a smaller pot with proper soil. So the soil mix we'll use will be still a partly organic mix, but we'll make sure to use some pumice and lava rock, for example, as well, just to make sure that the water can drain better.
We also attached 2 long wires, which will be used to anchor the tree to the pot firmly. We add a layer of soil before placing the tree into the pot. Place the tree slightly off-center in the pot and make sure to plant it at the right angle. Using the two long wires, we firmly attach the tree to the pot. Styling a bonsai tree and applying these sort of techniques correctly is one of the most difficult parts in creating a bonsai tree. You can check out our YouTube channel for videos about these techniques, but perhaps also consider enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. Here, expert teachers explain all the relevant techniques in detail, and as a student you can also ask questions directly to the teachers. Each of our online bonsai courses have free previews available in the curriculums. Simply go to bonsaiempire.com/courses.
All right, so back in the garden 1 year after the big trunk chop. It's almost Christmas time again, so not the tree that I will put indoors to serve as my Christmas tree, but the tree is doing well, super healthy, a lot of new growth. I'm actually quite surprised with how well it's doing, because there wasn't much in terms of roots. But the tree recovered during the summer. It really started growing, so what I did is those big branches on the side, I cut back a little bit just to push a bit more growth to smaller branches here. The more and the smaller the branches here, the more options we have for styling. And this is an incredibly difficult thing to style, so let's see what we can make out of it. Likely we'll use a few of these smaller branches on the interior of the tree as the new branches. So by the end of today I'm thinking that most likely the tree will look very bare and empty, but we need to cut these big branches because we can't bend them, we can't shape them, and so we need to get rid of them eventually. So the only way this tree will ever look a little bit like a bonsai is by really working with the younger shoots that we can still bend and position, and cutting a lot of those older thick branches. So actually I don't need to study the tree much. Like I said, those big branches have to come off. There's no way I can use them. So without giving it any further thought, I'll just prune these out. I'll leave stumps just to give us some options for adding some deadwood features later on, but just like 2 inches or so. So that's one. That's two. Another one. I'll remove this one too. All right, now we can start actually seeing the tree, and now you also see what I was talking about, looking in the interior of the tree. These sort of shoots, these younger shoots, this is stuff we can actually use and use to make a tree out of. These big branches, they're impossible to really set in position, so we can't use them. I'll study the tree and also take you close up, rotating the tree around so that you start to gain an understanding of the structure of the tree as well. Make a few more cuts. I'm thinking this probably will go as well. Let's see. And then really it's wiring the remaining branches, perhaps adding some deadwood here, so taking the bark off, and that's it. And then next year we will take this tree to the next step, because then those younger branches will really develop, because the tree, it's growing strong. So if we just leave a few of these younger branches, what will happen is these will develop very strongly, and that's exactly what we want. All right.
This branch has grown too thick and will be removed. We will use younger branches instead, because these can still be bent and shaped. On some places on the trunk there are too many branches, so we will remove a few of these. We also remove dangling growth to prepare the tree for wiring. Before we apply the wire, we remove dangling growth and small branches that are growing downwards. This basic cleaning of the branches will make it much easier to wire the tree. Try to select pairs of branches that are more or less of the same thickness, and wire these with one piece of wire. Start with wiring the main branches and slowly work your way up the tree. Smaller and thinner branches need a thinner wire as well. Before continuing, I'd like to show you our brand new Bonsai Care app. The app provides tree species specific information for all your trees, and it can set smart reminders to optimize the care for your bonsai. It is available for free in the app stores. To make the tree appear a bit older, we are removing the bark off these pruned branches.
Okay, finished. the second styling of this tree. We worked on the deadwood just a little bit, so this is definitely not refined, that's for later. I did work a little bit on this very straight cut just to give it the appearance of like a snapped off top. The tree, to the trained eye, it's got potential. To the untrained eye, it's just an empty, weird tree. But if we talk about future development, this will be the new leader, the new apex. So this needs to develop a lot. So this will let out to grow unimpeded, probably until this height, just to gain thickness in this section. Because right now the difference between the trunk and the new leader is very big, of course. So this needs to thicken up. So that's one thing to develop. The branch or top here is just temporary. I'll take this off in spring as soon as I see that the tree is growing healthily again. We took off a lot of the foliage, a lot of the solar panels of the tree, so I just wanted to leave this one on to keep the tree healthy and growing. So as soon as the tree grows healthily, this will come off as well. So this is the only top. Then all these young branches. So if you compare that with the big branches we just took off, all these branches are very thin and they also need to develop. So these will let out to grow. I won't prune too much because I want them to thicken up. We did add wire to them because right now they're flexible, so we added some movement in them. So as soon as they start to grow a little thicker, I can remove the wire, likely in 4 or 5 months from now, because we're going into winter. So the next step will be to remove the wire. Lots of fertilization in early spring. And that's all for now. All right, so we're back in the garden 6 months, I believe, after we last styled this big Christmas tree. At some point it was a very big Christmas tree, then we chopped the top right off. In the second phase we took off the large branches and worked with these younger branches. There's a lot of big buds right here growing everywhere throughout the tree, so it's still very healthy and happy. I'm honestly a little bit surprised that the tree is doing so well. And today we are finally going to put it into a bonsai pot. So the pot it is in right now, we placed it in, I believe, a year or a year and a half ago. That was a big surprise to see if there were any roots or not, because this used to be a Christmas tree. It wasn't made to grow healthy roots, but it was doing well. So today we'll take it out of this pot, investigate the roots. I hope we see a lot more fine roots than we did the last time we repotted the tree. And let's see which pot we can fit this tree in. So I have two options, a very small round pot, which I don't think will fit, but I have it as a backup if the roots will be very compact. It would be nice. And I have a slightly larger square pot. I don't often use square pots. I don't think I've ever used one on one of the YouTube videos, but I think for this tree it might be a good solution, and the color is nice for this tree, so a good fit. Let's see if the size is all right. I already prepared both pots, so let's take the tree out of this plastic pot and see what the roots are like. All right, I'll use a root hook to get the old soil off. The soil we used lastly was mostly inorganic soil mix, but we added a little bit of organic. And now looking at the soil, you always see that the organic is holding a lot of moisture. And that is exactly what I wanted for the health of the tree initially, but now that we put it into a bonsai pot, we'll use a completely inorganic bonsai soil mix. And the tree will be happy in that. The soil is a big discussion in bonsai. I think one of the most important things you need to look at is the goals that you have for your tree. If strong development is your goal, you could absolutely use a bit of organic soil as well. Not completely, it would probably be too wet. But once you start refining the tree, and with this tree we are working towards the point of refinement where we want smaller buds and more controlled growth. That's the moment where you also want to use an inorganic soil mix. It's easier to control also with the fertilization, etc. So that's what we'll do today. I'll carefully untangle these roots and see what we got. Here's the last wire. Alright, I think that's as far as I want to go with working the roots for now. The roots are okay, it's not greatly developed. There's a few of these very old big roots that I still don't want to take away. It's too risky, so I'll leave them for now and hope that the other younger roots develop better. Alright. Alright, so I worked on the roots. I took a lot of the old soil away. I pruned a bit of the roots, but really not that much. And I prepared the pot. In the bottom layer of the pot, I just want to add a very coarse substrate. So just add a bit. And I just want to make a bit of a hill so that I can push in the tree. Alright, so I placed the tree in the pot. I didn't attach it yet because I first want to discuss a bit the way that the tree is placed in the pot. It's not ideal, and that's mostly because the existing roots that I don't want to prune away yet are quite big, and basically you need a larger pot to fit this tree in well. What I'll do is I'll attach the tree to the pot with the wires and then add a bit more soil. So in attaching the tree to the pot with the wires, ideally you want to cross the wires a bit and put them over a root that is strong enough to sustain the tree. What I want is that the tree doesn't wiggle in the pot. Alright, using a chopstick I'll work in the soil to make sure that there's no air pockets. That's really important. And the trick is to insert your chopstick and just wiggle it a little bit so that the soil really fills all those little air pockets underneath the tree. And for the top layer I use a slightly finer mix, same mix but just smaller grain. Alright, finished repotting this tree. Like I said, ideally I would have had a slightly larger pot for this stage of development of the tree. Mostly this large root here, I just don't want to reduce in size because I fear that it wouldn't help the development of the tree. So it fits in the pot, but just for aesthetics right now, with this root still here, a slightly larger pot would have been better. Next, in about 2 years or so, in the next repotting, you can definitely prune the root here or maybe shorten it here a bit, and then it will fit in a pot exactly like this pot, much better. Same for the root in the back. I leave it intact for now. There's some smaller roots growing in this area. We'll cover it with moss next, but for now this is the result for today. It looks much better than the plastic pot already and planted completely in organic soil, so the tree will be happy as it is. Next up I'll water the tree. That's very important. It will also help to drain out the dust from the soil. Back home in my garden what I'll do is I'll put a plastic bag around the tree and attach it around the pot, and that will help in adding a bit more humidity around the tree. And the benefit of that is that the foliage of the tree doesn't demand as much moisture from the roots, which suffered from the repotting. So I'll do that for 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. Once these buds really start pushing new growth, then I'll take off the bag, also start fertilizing. The tree will be in the shadow for at least the time when the bag is covering the foliage, but probably for 1 or 2 months as well, until I can really tell that the tree is doing well. Then I'll place it in the sun. So, only thing left to do right now is watering the tree. So back in the garden with my Christmas tree from about 1.5 years ago. It was still a Christmas tree. We reduced it in length, started working with new younger shoots, and the tree is doing well. It didn't grow as strongly as I expected it this last year, but if I look at the buds right now, it's completely full. Every branch is full with new buds, so it's very healthy, and I think the next spring will be the moment when the tree really starts to grow these new branches again, which is a good thing. The idea of last time was that this would be the new apex of the tree. That's why we bent it upwards, and this, I wasn't sure what to do with it, either an apex or a branch. But having studied the tree again and looking at the way it's doing right now, I'm changing my plan a little bit. I'm thinking of making this the new apex, so a little bit more on the side of what used to be the apex of the tree, and bending this back down as a branch. So that would make this the new apex. Smaller branches here, and all these branches would have to be wired again and placed down. We did wire half a year ago, and I removed the wire about 2 months ago now, so it's been in wire for about 4 months, and then I had to remove it because the branches were all growing thicker, and I didn't want to have any wire scars. So today we'll bend this down, and this will be the new apex. We'll have to do quite some wiring. And what I also want to do today is work a little bit more on the deadwood. Right now it's just branches that we cut off and remove the bark, but we can work on it a little bit more, and maybe also connect these dead parts with the trunk, so that there will be some bald parts or barkless parts here and here as well. So let's see, we don't have to do everything at once, but I think today is a good time to do it here. It's fall right now, so the tree is slowing down. It's not really growing actively anymore, so that's a good time to do that. If you would do this in midsummer, it would just still like bleed. Because it's really actively growing at that moment. But now, fall is the perfect time to do this kind of work. So mostly wiring, a bit of pruning, and then work on the deadwood. So this, the branch that used to be the apex, but will be a side branch now, it's quite high in the tree, so it's definitely too big right now. So I'm just thinking about where exactly I want to prune back to. But because these branches aren't that big as well, so I'll have to prune back quite a bit. For now, I'll just prune here, and this will be the new extension, but perhaps I'll prune it back even more.
Learn how to create your own bonsai trees by enrolling in one of our online bonsai courses. We explain techniques like pruning, wiring and repotting, and you can ask questions to the teachers. For the curriculums and free lessons, go to bonsaiempire.com/courses.